got a quick roll call. I'm going to keep note of that. I'm trying to keep a better tally of who's joining what calls for the point system. We're trying to figure out what that point system looks like. So while I do that, I'm just going to put this up to remind anybody else who has just recently joined. All right. So gonna start off with just a couple of questions. By now, by this call, again, this is not a come to this call and we walk through each of these items that relativity gives us. It's kind of like test our knowledge. Did everybody do the week 2 walkthrough videos and the content? Anthony, I saw a yes. That's good. Penny, also a thumbs up. Vismay, did you get a chance? Accountability time. Looks like he's busy off camera. Vismay, did you get a chance to go through the week 2 topics? All right, Akshar's got a thumbs up. Vismay, I'm not sure if you can hear me or not.
I mean, sorry. I think you heard I heard you calling my name. What was it again?
The question was, maybe I should do this. I'm pointing off of screen, and that's why. Have you had a chance to go through the week 2 or week 1 and week 2 materials on relativity learning?
Oh, unfortunately I couldn't get the time this week.
No worries. That's what this call is about. Accountability. So by next week, hopefully you'll be caught up between doing week 1, week 2, and week 3. It looks like at least everyone else has confirmed that they've gotten through the week 2 materials.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just to make sure we're all on track, Vismay, look forward to having that question next week and you saying you're back on track. And to be honest, Vismay, if it helps at all, the stuff's pretty basic. It's not a lot of time. Week 2 says 2.5 hours. It didn't really take 2.5 hours.
Is it regarding security and permissions?
Yeah, just around securities and permissions.
Oh, that I mean that's what I do on a daily basis, so that should be fine.
Okay, cool. Well then, you know what? Maybe the 2.5 hours takes you 20 minutes. Who knows? If you've taken, so we're trying to send out Quizlets. If you saw that link with the Quizlet, Vismay, if you've taken it and you've got them all right, everything looks correct.
I'm taking it right now, actually.
Okay. And again, if you see something that looks funny, sounds funny, let me know. Trying to correct it. Starting out using Quizlet.com, it uses AI to create the questions and the answers. So some of them were worded a little oddly, but I think it gets to the information well. All right.
All right.
So speaking of Quizlet.com, I don't know if you guys have ever used this before. Penny, yes?
Daniel, for that Quizlet that I took, of course, I had just had surgery. I just had surgery on Tuesday. So when I took the Quizlet, I was in the hospital. I wanted to know, I know I got some wrong, but can I go back and see like the correct answers and the questions still or no?
You know what? I wish I had that answer. I just started using Quizlet. It's not easy to navigate around. I think the answer is you just want to take the Quizlet over again.
Okay.
And as you take it, it'll give you the right and wrong answers. So
Perfect.
If you're not sure, go back, click it again, and it should allow you to take it again.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So this is Quizlet.com. It looks a little differently. I'm kind of logged into one of the folder areas, and I'm pulling up some of the content that was pulled straight off of Relativity Learning, put it into Quizlet.com, and then asked it to give me a question and answers. So I figured what better thing to do than take this time on this call, go through a couple of these questions and see how we're feeling about it. We'll try this out this week. So the first one, what steps are involved in assigning a password authentication option to a user? Anthony, you're first on my camera list here. Want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure in front of the entire call. This is an exercise, guys. We're all friends here, right? If you get the wrong answer, no one's gonna make fun of you.
Number 2.
All right. Anybody agree or disagree, Vismay?
I'm reading the question right now. Just a second.
Okay.
What steps are involved in assigning a password authentication option to a user of the user's profile? Select the password. Shouldn't we create the user account from scratch and set default password? Yeah, I believe it's the first one. Yeah.
Cool. We'll talk about both of them real quick. I think it'll be worth a conversation. Penny got a thumbs up. Is that an agreement to number two?
Yes. Sorry, I was writing in the group chat, so I don't interrupt you.
Yeah. So I guess this is one of those examples, right? 'Cause what are the steps involved in assigning a password authentication option to a user? One, create a new user account from scratch and set a default password. I mean, that is warm. I don't know that it addresses the question better than number two.
Uh-huh.
The number two answer says edit the user's profile, select and this is obviously we have to make some assumptions here, right? I get where you're going, Visme, with this, but I think in this instance for this question and answer, uh, if we're make an assumption that or
The
presumption
user is
that
already created. If the
yeah,
user is already created, that yeah, we will be doing number two.
got
But
it.
if it's a new user, then I believe it's the first option.
Yeah, I think that's it. Anybody
Mhm.
else before we select the answer? Boy, if we get this wrong, it'll be pretty funny. Okay, good. Nice work.
All right.
All right, let's do like two more real quick and then we'll move on.
What is the purpose of can change password option? Yeah, it's number three.
So if you can change password, does it allow you or prevent you? Probably allows you. And then
Allows you.
so I think it's falling. What do you think, Anthony?
I agree.
Akshar?
I agree with this, May.
You guys think it's number two?
No.
I think it's number three.
Three? Okay, good. All right,
Three
cool.
looks good.
Yeah, all right. It was right. That's right. Okay. Listen, I mean, if that's an indicator of how well we did this week, I think that's pretty good. Let's see if we can get a harder one in here. Let's see. What does the required change password?
Oh, that means we've given him a temporary password and he has to change the password the moment he logs in.
Like another password session.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, that's
disables
number two, I believe.
Agree.
All right. Penny, I hear you reading out loud.
You know what? It's a mix between two and four because I create accounts all the time. So, when you do a default password provider for the user, they do have to change the password before logging in. So it I'm not, yeah, it should. I think it disables the user's account until they change their password. So
The user
technically, like they
account,
have to go
sorry.
in there, change their password, and then they can log in because there's no way. And then it says requires the user to change. Yeah, that it does require the user to change their password. So it's kind of like both of them. You know what I mean? I'm not too sure
Uh,
what the correct answer is though.
so Penny, disablement of the user account only happens when we take over. I mean, it's us, the people who have admin access, only they can
Right.
disable the account. Else,
Uh-huh.
there is another option where we have to put in the amount of days that the user can keep a same password. Post that, if their
Right.
password is not changed, the account automatically disables. So I think require change password. This option only comes up when we set a temporary password or assign a default password provided to them. So it's number two. I'm confident about that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Two.
Penny, to your point though, it doesn't technically disable the account, right? Because if you think of the user account settings, there's that toggle to enable or disable, right?
Right.
The account is
Uh-huh.
actually enabled. It doesn't disable unless their account is expired or you physically disable, or if they've gone too many password incorrect stances.
That's right. I see it now in my head. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I literally just had surgery on Tuesday, so
No, it's no
I'm kind of
worries.
still on meds and stuff.
Nothing to be sorry about. We're all
And
going to
We'll talk it
be,
to the anesthesia there. Actually,
yeah,
Yeah.
Penny.
it's about yeah, better understanding. But good discussion. And I think that kind of teased out a little bit of those nuances and details that,
Mhm.
you know, make a difference between someone who's just starting and someone who's got the experience. So that's super helpful. Thanks.
Daniel, when it does the summary at the end, can we go back to question one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But can we just go back to question? Because there's 50 questions in this summary, and I'm not sure we're going to
Okay.
get through all of them. I'm thinking just a few more.
Well-
What was the What do you
The
want to touch
thing,
on?
the thing that was that a relativity question, or was that something that Quizlet came up with in terms of the answer?
It's something that Quizlet comes up. So Quizlet, so full disclosure here, Quizlet uses AI, and so what I did was I took each section, copied and pasted the text from each section into Quizlet, and then had the Quizlet's AI system create the questions and answers for
Okay.
this kind of
Okay.
card system.
So the only thing I wanted to correct, and it was just, and this is just me being nitpicky, right? So I think
Oh,
the
good.
answer was like edit the account. And
Mm.
you actually don't edit the account, right? Because if you select to edit an account, you don't have the option to set the login method. You would have to go into the account after it's been saved, right? After you've done the account settings and the username, and then set, their default settings and things like that. You hit save. And then you have the login method where you would select new and then select the options for password. If you were to select edit, it's going to go and edit the account settings and not
User.
give you the option for the login method. So
Okay.
it's a little, that wording was just a little off, and I wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody.
No, that's so good. And does anyone not have experience with being in that relativity setup page? I know for sure Visme, Penny, it sounds like it. Akshar, I believe, Anthony.
I've used I use Relativity 1 and Relativity Server a lot for my work, but I would say I use Server about 80% of the time and 1 about 20%. So Server, it's a little bit different. I think when you're on that create user page at the bottom, you have the 2FA option. So I don't think I've made users with Rel 1 yet, only on Rel Server. So I didn't know.
Okay. I do know the answers for Rel 1. It's been a while since I've been in Rel Server.
I mean, contributing to what Anthony said here, it's a story. It's a story similar to all of us. I believe most of us are usually work on servers only. Relativity 1 is still relatively new, actually.
Yeah.
And I believe what Susan told is very much synonymous to the discussion we had on the first question. I believe the wordings are different, but the objectives remain same.
Yes. Yeah. It was just that
Yes.
edit wording that just
Yes.
gave me a slight pause, because I was like,
True.
No, that's good. That's good. Got to keep us straight. Keep that AI straight, because the thing about AI is it'll make it sound good, but the nuance, because it just creates its own answers and its own questions without not it doesn't necessarily take it word for word from the text all the time. So
yeah. And I will say Relativity, when they give the questions, that's where they trick you, is the language and the wording that they're using in their answers. So you have to be really careful in reading it.
I mean, the first question serves as an example for that. Actually, I got confused.
yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, and I think we talked about that. It's like, assuming the best, assuming they're not just trying to, they're not just sitting back there and like, how can we trick them? It's more about kind of confirming or verifying that the deep understanding is there. A deeper understanding is there to be able to kind of see through the context of the question and answers. Thank you, Susan. Okay, let's see. Maybe we'll do one more. We're already 16 minutes in. Just want to kind of wrap this up and then go through, talk about Quiz a little bit, so whoever's watching this video afterwards can take advantage of it as well. So this one more, let's see, what is the maximum password age setting?
I already answered the question in the chat. It's number 3. Actually, I agree with him.
Anybody else
agree
agree
too.
or disagree?
But there's one more thing about this. Actually, if you don't enable that option, this password age setting option, then the relativity password expires after 999 days.
Didn't know that.
Oh, it's up to 99?
Yeah, 999. Yeah. If we don't specify a particular amount of day in which the
If you
password
don't
needs to be
specify.
changed. Yeah.
How many days, Bismay?
999.
Oh,
It's the number where it's
999.
yeah.
Okay.
999.
Okay.
So
I
for a
thought he said
while.
99, and I was like, oh no, I've had my password longer than 99
No, no.
days.
The time happens to be between 0 to 999 days, 0 to 999 days, and about after that the account will ask you to change the password.
Fun fact. I might hang on to that one for a future Q&A. All right.
Yeah.
So we're saying 3?
Yeah, I'm three. I'm on 3.
Nice. All right. So that's the idea. Okay. What I'm going to do is, I think the way it works, I have a subscription to Quizlet. It's proven very helpful for me. It has an app. I can use it on my phone. So I've been using that throughout the day. If I'm doing something, or if I'm, waiting in line at the grocery store, or whatnot, I'll, flip through that. Or a commercial if I'm watching a show or something. You get the idea. But my point is that it should be free for others to access. So if I'm going into this application, I'm creating a test based on the materials for the week. When you guys access, or anybody that has the link, you can access it for free, take the test, get the answers, and kind of get a feel for whether or not you have a grasp of the materials. So I'm going to do that again. I'll do it for week 3. I'll try to make it a little bit longer. And to try to answer Penny's question, let me see if I can figure out if there's a way to go back to look at the results. I don't think so. I've kind of looked for myself, but I'll triple check for you guys. Okay.
There's one more thing, Daniel. I think I may not have received the Quizlet this week. I can't see it in my mail account actually.
It's going to bring up the same thing, Bismay. I found the week 1 Quizlet that I took already, but I couldn't find the week 2 link.
Yeah. Let me send out the week 2 today, and then I'll create the week 3, and I'll make it a little bit longer than week 2. And the big ask here is, if you guys are I'll do the best I can, but if you guys see something funny, doesn't make sense, is wrong, let me know, and I'll see if you can actually change some of the original text, which has helped me change a few of the question answers yesterday. So, okay. All right. Yeah, this is what it looks like. Basically, you're able to create, a library. You can create folders. I'm creating folders for each week. So the RCA study, I'll have week 2, week 3. You could do it differently. Could do the whole thing all together. But I think this kind of just helps us to narrow in on the different topics. I'll create the tests, the Quizlets for each section. But this doesn't take away from any of the stuff that you're already doing. This is only supposed to help support and what the work that you're already doing and studying and watching and reading. All right. So that's it. And then for week 3, for next Saturday, we all, in order to be on the same path, on track, quote unquote, we want to have completed the materials on relativity learning for week 1, week 2, and for week 3. Okay, so it's supposedly supposed to be a little bit longer. So week 2 is about 2.5 hours study. Week 3, it's estimating 4.5 hours. So start now, start this weekend. Hopefully you're enjoying your holiday weekend, but throughout the week, hopefully we can get through all of this. I'll send out a Quizlet. Do you guys appreciate like the Quizlets on like a Wednesday or a Friday, or you guys are also doing your own Quizlets? Any feedback there?
Yeah, I'm fine with any day.
Okay.
Yeah, fine with any day as well, as it's
Okay.
pretty flexible.
Yeah. I mean, if we did a Quizlet today for week 3, it's still helpful, right? So I guess that makes sense. All right, I'll try to get it out by
Works.
Wednesday, but I'll try to get the
I mean,
week 2 to you guys today.
just to be on the same page, I need the week 2 Quizlet again. So
Yeah, you got it. I'll send that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if you have any issues accessing it or whatnot. So I think that was it. Any other wins, study tips, anything you guys experienced this week or the like?
I did my first textural mirror duplicate this week on Relativity 1, so that was fun.
Say that again. You did the first what?
I did
Textual
my
mirror
first textual mirror duplicate this week.
Okay, great. How did it go?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was tricky at first. I kind of used AI to help me kind of like solve, with getting the group IDs from both sets, and then I was bringing it into the Excel using a VLOOKUP, trying to figure it out. I'm still rusty on it, not as confident on TNDs as I am on other things like processing or like productions or something like that. So hopefully I get a chance to do more with my job in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree with Anthony. Textual near deduplication is actually a little tricky. You never know. Any altercation in the words might actually shoot out wrong results as well.
Yeah.
Right. Anthony, did you use, I mean, how did you identify the settings for that? Was it a client driven? Is it kind of like an organization driven standard
Mhm.
default? And then Susan would love to hear your take. I'm sure you've got some.
You said how did I do it, or
Well,
what was it for?
how did you identify the settings? Did you use the default in relativity? Is it something that's
Oh,
set by the company? It's something the conversation with the client on what the settings were going to be for that set?
yeah, it was so a colleague of mine previously created a TND structural analytic, and so we had used the previous settings from that. We just plugged in a new data source, new destination.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I mean, this call could go another hour talking about just that, I guess. But I don't know, Susan, any off the top of your head suggestions, tips with textual near dupe
Yeah,
jobs?
so our default that I have set within our organization is 80, and nothing lower. I think that at that point, the documents are too different. But I know like a lot of organizations will set it higher, probably at 90. I keep it at 80 because that actually gives me more control to then decide what my cutoff score is by just setting up searches, and then not having to rerun. So for me, 80 is like the sweet spot. The other option is the ignore numbers. And I think really that just depends on if it's Excel heavy based or if numbers are going to be really important for you to understand and decipher duplicates within your data set. So that's something, before you start, whether or not you enable or disable that. The only other thing I will add, and this is a little known feature, and it's always been in relativity, but it's not widely used. And when I show people, they're just like, "When did that appear?" And I'm like, "It's been in here since
You got my attention.
forever." And it's
Yeah.
the relativity compare feature.
Oh yeah.
So you can compare two textual near duplicates, and it's kind of like a Word where it provides you the red lines. So a lot of times when I'm trying to understand where the differences are in a document, that's really come in helpful. And you can use that for documents that have not been run through textual near duplication. You can use that on anything. I use it a lot when people ask me, why did this email not dupe out? More than likely it's the timestamp, but sometimes like having to compare to show me why there was differences and why the hashes didn't match up and why that second email is in there, is really helpful. So it's just you add it to the field results. It's called relativity compare, and then you just put in the doc IDs and it'll compare it for you.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, we had actually used 89% similarity, and
89.
we had checked the ignore numbers off because we weren't really focusing on the Excels. It was emails, documents, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I use 80 again because I'm just lazy and I don't feel like rerunning it if 89 wasn't good enough for me. So at 80, and then you can, once the scores are published to the workspace, you can run searches on the object and modify, like do a less than and play with the scores that way to get the set to where you want. But either works.
Well, thank
I mean,
you.
where do you find this compare feature, Susan?
It's in a field. It's just called relativity compare. So just
Mm-hmm.
make it available in your search results, and it's like a little button similar to like the icon button.
Just like
Uh-huh,
you would
And
uh-huh.
add
then
a
you,
field into a saved search,
yeah,
you add compare into the saved search. Yeah.
yep. And you can also add it to your textual near duplication relational view. So when people click on the relation view in the at the bottom of the layout, it'll show you like the MD5 hashes, right? It'll show you the
Right.
textual layer duplicates, and you can add the compare icon to
Mhm.
that view, and then they can run the compare off of the relational view.
All right.
Well, that's the
Great.
30
Thank you,
minutes
guys.
for today, unless anyone else has anything else to discuss or any questions or concerns. We'll end on that high note.
Yeah, that was a week 10 subject. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a week 10 subject, but it's okay. This is all kind of overlapping. I'm sure we'll run into it a couple times as we get through this. So
I mean, I have a feeling that by the time we reach week 10, we probably might need much more than 30 minutes to discuss things.
yeah, and
Right.
maybe it'll go longer.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have if whoever wants to stay on can stay on.
Mhm.
Like today, if you want, I got to drop today. I've got, it's a holiday weekend. I got to run and take care of some things, but I will get that week 2 out. I'll give you my word to get that week 2 back out to you guys. And again, if you have any issues accessing, let me know. All right.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, everybody. It's been fun.
Thank
Talk to you
you.
soon.
Everyone.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, Daniel.
Get well soon,
Bye,
Penny.
guys.
I mean,
Thank you. Bye-bye.